I was sitting in my car outside a CVS, holding a bag of children's Tylenol for my daughter and thinking about the one promise that quietly ruined my life. Funny how 5 words can follow you for 10 years. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but whatever. I'm not writing this for anyone to read. I'm writing this because of that parking lot. That stupid parking lot right off the interstate exit. The same one where I used to sit and wait for you after your shift at the diner. Every time I drive through here, I see you. That old denim jacket. The way you'd get in my car and never put your seatbelt on right away. Just lean over and rest your head on my shoulder for like 10 seconds. Never said anything, just 10 seconds. Then you'd sit up and say, "Okay, I'm good now. My kid's got a fever. My wife's waiting at home. And I'm sitting in this parking lot with the engine running, going nowhere." Stupid. Maybe it's because tonight's cold. Maybe it's because nobody's leaned on my shoulder like that in a long time. Maybe because, forget it. I'm already writing, so. Back in college, I thought everything was simple. You love someone, you graduate, you figure it out together. Done. We were just 2 broke kids splitting dollar menu meals, sitting in my parked car until 2 a.m. talking about the future like we owned it. You said you'd probably move back home after graduation. Small town, 3 hours south. I said I'd come with you. You laughed, said there's nothing there. I said I don't care. I don't care. Easy thing to say. You remember that time we skipped econ and went to that diner off campus? The one run by that old guy who never smiled but made the best pancakes in the county. You had syrup on your chin. I reached across and wiped it off. You swatted my hand. "Stop, people are looking." Nobody was looking. Just a couple other kids skipping class, same as us. That morning you asked me where we'd end up. I said anywhere, as long as I'm with you. You did that thing where you smile and your eyes kind of scrunch up. Said, "You always know what to say." Then you got quiet. You said, "What if we just move somewhere small? I'll waitress or open something. You do your repair thing. We come home to each other every night. That's enough. That's enough." You said it like it was nothing, like saying, "See you tomorrow." But I remember. I remember the morning light coming through that window, the ceiling fan wobbling, you sitting across from me, hair falling in your face, pushing it back with syrup still on your fingers. I made you a promise that day, held your hand walking back across the quad, told you, "I promise, I'll figure it out." You didn't say anything, just squeezed my hand tighter. That squeeze, I can still feel it. Once, near the end of junior year, we were sitting on the hood of my car behind the library. You leaned against my shoulder. I could smell your shampoo, that cheap coconut stuff from the dollar store. I loved it. "What if we don't make it?" I said, "Don't talk like that." You said, "I'm serious." I looked at you. You weren't crying, but your eyes were red. I said, "That's not going to happen." And I kissed your forehead. I made a promise with that kiss, not with words. I thought that was enough. I thought you understood. You did understand. That's exactly why it hurt more when I didn't keep it. My dad didn't get it. Said I needed to be realistic. Said moving to some small town with no connections, no job lined up, no plan. That's not love. That's just being stupid. My mom said I had potential. Said I should go where the work is, not where some girl is. Your mom told you the same thing from the other side. Said long distance never works. Said find someone local, someone stable, someone who's already there. Nobody screamed. Nobody forbid anything. They just advised. Every day. Gently. And gentle advice is heavier than any ban. Because when someone forbids you, you can fight back. When someone's right, you can't fight the truth, even when you don't want it to be true. I remember calling you one night, late. You were crying. You said, "Maybe we should just stop." I went silent. For a long time. You said, "Are you still there?" I said, "I'm here." But I didn't say anything else. I wanted to say wait for me, I'll make it work. But I looked around that tiny apartment I could barely afford, looked at my degree that was almost done and meant nothing yet, and I couldn't. Not because I didn't want to, because I didn't dare. Because what if I promised and couldn't deliver? But I'd already promised. On the hood of my car, in that diner, walking across the quad. How many times did I promise? And every single time, I meant it. I believed it. I thought if you love someone enough, you get through it. You just do. But love doesn't pay rent. It doesn't build a career. It doesn't make two sets of parents stop worrying about your future. That was the moment I almost said it. Almost said so many things. Almost said, let's ignore everyone. Almost said, I'll pack my car tonight. Almost said, just give me one more year. But all I said was, yeah, let me think about it. Let me think about it. 5 words. And somehow, they lasted longer than everything we ever said to each other. Because after that, silence. Then less and less. Then you stopped calling. Then I stopped calling. Nobody said, we're breaking up. There was no clear sentence. It just went out. Like a flashlight running out of battery. Nobody turned it off. It just died. I didn't lose you. I chose not to fight for you. I told myself I was being responsible, being practical, being smart. I was just scared. I got married at 28. My wife is good, really good. Same town, we understand each other. Both families are happy. Our daughter looks like her mom. Our son looks like me. Normal life. The kind people say you should be grateful for. And I am. Most days. I fix electronics, the school. Stable. Steady. But sometimes, normal gets heavy too. Not loud, just heavy. I heard you got married. Your husband does repair work too. I heard that and I don't even know what my face looked like. Same line of work as me. You married a guy who does what I do. He didn't love you more than I did. He was just braver. He became the version of me that actually kept the promise. I wonder if you ever watch him work and... No, stop. Don't do that to yourself. You ended up close to family. Short drive. Holidays are easy. Both sides are happy. None of the distance. None of the mess. They were right. See? Close to home is better. You've got a kid now, right? I don't know if it's a boy or a girl. I shouldn't know. But I still wonder. Sometimes I'm sitting at my workbench, fixing someone's TV, and I suddenly hear your voice. You do your repair thing. I'll figure out the rest. We come home to each other. Then I look down. I am doing the repair thing, but I'm not coming home to you. Funny, right? I don't know if it's funny or just... I don't know. And here's the part I don't say out loud. Not to anyone. Not even to myself most days. Sometimes I'll be lying next to my wife at night. She's asleep. Kids are asleep. House is quiet. And I'll stare at the ceiling and think about you. Not in some dramatic way. I'm not fantasizing. I'm not wishing I was somewhere else. It's more like a door I keep locked, and sometimes at 1 a.m., when everything's quiet, it opens on its own. Just a crack. And I see that parking lot, that diner, your head on my shoulder for 10 seconds. Then I close it. Because I chose this life, and it's a good life, and my wife doesn't deserve a husband who leaves doors open. But I'd be lying if I said the door doesn't exist. Here's the thing. The hardest part isn't forgetting you. You forget. Eventually. Time does its thing. Everything fades. The hardest part is when it comes back without warning. When you're just fine, living your life. And then something small hits you. The smell of coconut somewhere. Some song on the radio at a gas station. A parking lot. A diner. Pancakes. And there I am again, standing still like an idiot. I'm not angry at our parents. Really. They were right. Moving somewhere with no plan, no money, no safety net. Who does that? I was 22. I had nothing. A degree, a beat-up Civic, and a pile of promises I didn't even know how to keep. They were right. And knowing they were right hurts more than if they were wrong. Because if they were wrong, I could be angry. I could blame them. I could point at someone and say, "This is why." But I can't. There's nobody to blame. I wasn't being smart. I was being afraid and calling it maturity. I thought being responsible meant letting you go. Turns out it just meant I was too scared to be irresponsible. The thing I never told you. That night, the night you cried and said maybe we should stop, I cried too. After I hung up, I sat in that apartment in the dark, and I cried. 20-something years old, a grown man, crying alone in the studio apartment. I've never told anyone this, not once. Even writing it now, I don't know why I'm writing it. But whatever, already started. I cried because I knew I was going to let you go. Not because I stopped loving you. Because I wasn't brave enough. Because I was scared of promising what I couldn't give. Because I thought you deserved better than a guy whose best answer was, "Let me think about it." But maybe I was wrong. Maybe if I'd said, "Stay," you would have stayed. Maybe we would have struggled but made it through. Maybe you'd have opened that little place and I'd do repairs and we'd come home to each other every night and that would be enough. Maybe that enough actually exists somewhere, in another life, another turn. But you can't live inside a maybe. I'm 33 now, 2 kids, good wife, steady work. Go to work in the morning, eat dinner at home, take the kids out on weekends. I'm not unhappy. I want to be clear about that. I am not unhappy. But every once in a while, when it gets cold, when I drive through that parking lot, when I smell coconut, when someone leans their head on my shoulder for no reason, I remember a 22-year-old kid who promised, "I'll figure it out," and never figured out a damn thing. I hope you're doing okay. That should be enough. But that promise, can you forgive me for it? Or don't. I haven't forgiven myself either. Anyway, the Tylenol in this bag is probably warm by now. Kids still waiting. And somehow, I still am too. Is there a promise you made 10 years ago that you still can't swallow? You don't have to tell the whole story. Just write the promise. Someone out there might be carrying the same one.